Hello everyone. I know I said I wasn't going to do another video, but I'm doing another one because I guess I'm just going to talk about what I think is the main reason to be concerned about the future, and that would be the Hopi and their prophecy rock. No, this is not like a new band and some shit. This is supposedly a carving in a rock that has gone back. It's dated supposedly 10,000 years old or something like that. I believe I read somewhere once. And they basically have these two paths. They have like the Great Spirit, and then they have a bunch of symbols and two paths. And basically, it's been relayed by the story of what it means has been relayed from generation to generation. And the current guy says that I'm not going to go into detail, but basically that there are these circles on the path that represent when the Great Spirit shook the earth. And the first time he shook the earth was supposed to be World War One. The second time he shook the earth was supposed to be World War Two. Supposedly right before World War One, there's a great bug. They say a bug. There was going to be a bug that would start crawling all over the planet. That bug is supposed to be the automobile. It's supposed to, when he shakes the earth the first time, it goes airborne, meaning planes, which started off as pretty much a direct kind of. They used automobile engines, I think. So they're kind of related. BMW, they made cars and planes. So anyway, they're a little different, but obviously. And then the third shake was supposed to be the Great Purification, which means that a shitload of people are going to die. Supposedly there was going to be a possibility that two brothers could save us from this. I don't know who those brothers were supposed to be or what that's about, but maybe those brothers have yet to come. Maybe we can be saved, but I don't know. I don't see it happening. I really don't. I mean, people just don't care about the earth and about the fact that we have overshot our ecological boundaries for continued existence. It's like people are just blatantly ignoring that civilizations, all great civilizations, have collapsed and act as if the civilization is just going to go on and on and on. And I believe the Hopi. I believe that we are living completely out of balance, and the only way to ensure our continued success is to live more naturally and more simply. I never wanted to admit this to myself because I was always a big proponent of technology. I always thought that technology could save us. But the more I read about technology, the more I see that there's hardly any technology that doesn't, in some way or another, have a detrimental effect on the planet. It's either, it's always some kind of pollution or another that comes from it, or some kind of, excessive digging up of resources, or it seems like there's a lot of drawbacks, and you literally look at our lives, and technology has not made them better. I would like to believe, I wanted to believe it. Maybe if we'd started on the green energy kick sooner, things could have been different. But maybe if our government wasn't largely controlled by automobile manufacturers and oil companies and steel companies and all these other things for so long, then we would have had a chance to do it our way. But I guess that's just not the way it was meant to unfold. Maybe the way it was meant to unfold is that we've gotten ourselves into this situation and everything's so far along. And there's just a lot of things in this Hopi prophecy where they just kind of talk about things that just sound very convincing. How they said life would start moving faster, and then we would, the white men were the keeper of fire, and with fire, we would start, going overboard, and we'd have a web of communication lines across the country, and or it could be power lines or highways. I'm not exactly sure. But I don't know. It makes me wonder, where, if this rock is 10,000 years old, where does all this stuff come from? How did they know that this kind of thing was going to happen? Apparently, I can only find sites from the Hopi, websites from the Hopi. There was one, maybe, I think it was a BBC documentary or something, that talked a little bit about this rock, but mainstream science obviously is pretty much once again completely oblivious to the whole thing. They could care less. I mean, they're not going to believe in prophecy, but it just seems to me like I see so little about this subject that pretty much everyone's ignoring it, and the Hopi are saying it, and no one else is listening. But anyway, so I can't bring it all back, all the details of the prophecy, but I recommend that you do a search. Don't listen to anything about the blue star Kachina. That's a bunch of ridiculousness. If they say anything about that, then forget that. But just look up what the actual elders who had the story passed down, or the interpretation, and see what they have to say, and tell me that you don't think that they could be right, and that maybe they shouldn't be. We shouldn't all be kind of looking at their warnings and heeding them a little more. Because I just see, they predict nuclear war, all-out nuclear war, and given the fight over the resources remaining that we are bound to have at some point, maybe not immediately soon, but not far off into the future. Already Russia's talking about cutting natural gas supply to the Ukraine, I think, and they're already starting to cut oil, and as oil becomes harder to acquire and more expensive, there's going to obviously be a natural desire to start wars over that resource, and given the invaluable nature of the stuff, and given the fact that any economy is going to suffer intensely without some reasonable supply of reasonably priced oil, there's going to be a lot of starving people, and there's going to be people who are willing to do anything for those resources, and it's going to lead to wars. And given that the most effective way to win a war in this day and age is probably with nuclear weapons. I mean, not really win a war, but we're talking about major superpowers here. It's not like we can all have a meeting place where we all just send armies. This is probably going to have to be resolved with nuclear arms. That's my guess, given that this is like the battle royale since the beginning of humanity. We've never had weapons like this. We've never had a resource like this. This is huge. So, I'm not saying I hope for this. I hope we can come up with alternative energies. I hope we can find ways not to continue our general disrespect and destruction of the planet. But all I'm saying is I think we should be prepared, and I'm wondering whether or not I should head off into the desert to live with the Hopi, so that I can at least have a clear conscience and maybe survive. Because supposedly after the war, there will be people who live on in the Hopi ways, or ways of other people who do have respect for the earth. Alright, so yeah, check that out.